A 50-year-old housewife who's like, you know what, I'm bored, I'm gonna get my license, right? Like someone you're thinking of right now in your head that you know, right? And my answer to that is keep on waiting, have a great time as you watch life pass you by. I do have houses that are worth 10 million plus, but I find it really doesn't make a difference. What really makes a difference in our business is houses that are properly priced. Hi, my name is Adam Weiner. I'm a real estate representative with Harvey, Kalles Real Estate Limited. That's a funny question, and I've been hearing that same line for the last 15 years. And my answer to that is keep on waiting, have a great time as you watch life pass you by. Because this city is going nowhere but up. There are pockets where there have been corrections, absolutely, but overall the influx of foreign money, foreign investors, new Canadians who are coming to the city is, it's a foolhardy comment to say that the market is going to crash in our city. That's a very good question. I think it really comes down to pricing. I personally I do have houses that are worth 10 million plus, but I find it really doesn't make a difference. What really makes a difference in our business is houses that are properly priced. So whether it is $1 million or $10 million, if the commodity is priced well, both of them will sell. First-time homeowners can afford a house in Toronto, thankfully, with our relaxing lending practices. So the banks, on a good note, have been very tight the last few years, and we're hopeful that they're going to relax their lending practices a little bit to allow for people, especially first-time homeowners, to afford a little bit more money, and the requirements will not be as stringent. Also, there is a first-time homeowners relief tax on the land transfer tax. I don't believe you can sell on your own, to be honest with you, and that's not speaking out of place of being arrogant. I have come across a number of these new pop-up list your own brokerage things, and the problem is the brokerages just vet the calls and forward the calls to the vendors, okay? The problem with the vendors is, no disrespect to 99.999% of them, they have no idea how to negotiate a sale. And they're not familiar with our forms, with the legal ramifications of it, with closing documents. There's so much in our business that you learn over the years, and that's going back to realtors as well. I actually don't feel that realtors have enough schooling. I'm actually glad that it's becoming a college course now, because we deal with huge amounts of money, and our responsibility is vast. We're dealing with people's largest investments. Vendors should not be dealing on their own with their properties. Don't get me wrong, there are of course one-offs and people do land deals, but when I do come across houses that have sold privately, it's always the buyer's got a very good buy, to be honest with you, because they found kind of a sucker. You have to be very careful. I even purchased a home myself a few years ago where I had issues with it, and it was a brand new house. So when you're buying a home, you have to do your due diligence about who's the builder, what their background is. I recommend doing home inspections and truthfully a lot of background work before you lock into a transaction. When you're buying a condominium pre-construction, there's actual legislation that those deposits are held in a regulatory trust account, okay? Which means that the builder XYZ cannot take it out. The strange part about that law is when you're dealing with housing, the housing market, like townhouses, etc., that same legislation is not there. So it's funny you mentioned that. There was actually a case in point a couple of years ago on a townhouse development on Bayview and Post Road in the York Mills area, where people lost a lot of money because the builder made off with the deposits. So to answer your question, it is very dangerous when you're buying pre-construction. I'm not a big fan of pre-construction personally, but people like to speculate, and they obviously, think that everything's going to grow, but there is a risk involved. What I saw in the last 10 years, the market was very hot. So like with every area of work, this is an easier way to get your license. You can get it within 2 years. And when people think it's easy money, good luck. And I wish they would increase our annual dues to 5 times what we pay right now, because we get rid of all the riffraff. There's way too many people in this business, and it's overly saturated. Well, that's dependent upon at what stage the offer is in. So if a client changes their mind and an offer has not been submitted, then you just rescind the offer. If an offer has been submitted and accepted, if it's a firm transaction, then you might be in a situation where there could be legal ramifications. But if it is an offer that's been accepted with a condition on it, for example, financing or home inspection, there's usually angles to get out of the deal. Home inspection is a little bit of a gray area because some vendors do threaten or posture that the buyer has to prove that there's an issue with the house for them not to firm up on the deal. But for a financing clause, I usually recommend for clients to use a financing clause on the offer because it really is a carte blanche that if they have difficulties, they can get out of a transaction. So the standard rate of commission in Toronto is 5%, where 2.5% is always paid to the cooperating brokerage or the brokerage that represents the purchaser, and 2.5% is owed or due to the vendors. The vendors pay the commission. So the standard rate is 5%, but for myself and some other agents, we're more competitive. I find myself to be competitive because I do more volume, and allowing myself to do more volume, I try to give my clients a competitive edge. We also offer what's called a collateral agreement, which means that when we sell our own listings, of which we do quite often, like 33% of my listings, I list and sell myself. And when I do that, we offer a much more competitive collateral agreement, which means in simple English, we drop the commission even further. Well, how much realtors earn? I see at my company, and we have a very small world of, Remax, Royal LePage. I know a lot of agents in Central Toronto. I hear numbers range from, I think $100,000 is very feasible because in our world, even if you sell $1 million house, which again is not very expensive anymore in Toronto, that's a typical transaction of around $25,000. So TREP statistics state that a lot of agents don't make any money. The people that I know, I would say on average make around $100,000 to $150,000. And that ranges upwards of $2 million plus. You can on the higher end. I also have close friends who hit $2+ million. I don't know anymore. I'm not sure anymore how long it takes to become a realtor. I've been doing this for 15 years. When I took the courses, it took me about 6 months to get the licensing, but I've been told since then that they've added more courses to it. And I've also, again, I would have to refer to, I don't even know who, Oria. My understanding is it's now become mandatory to take an actual 2-year college course, which I think is long overdue and hugely beneficial. I know that the Oria, Ontario Real Estate Association, was sort of letting everyone come in the last bunch of years because it's a lot of money and they were accruing a lot of cash basically. But I think to their detriment, it allows a lot of people to get into the business who just don't know what they're doing. I've been in situations, even recently, where I've literally had to prepare an entire offer for the other agent because they don't know what they're doing. It's actually that bad. I like being my own boss very much. In my previous life, I had an employer and I did not like it, and I don't like anyone else telling me what to do. It's a dual-edged sword because at the same time the buck stops with me, so we work 10 times harder because you're working for yourself. So you can't really walk away at the end of the day. But at the flip side, it's really up to us about what our success is. At the same time, the hours are very, very draining. I find it's hard to carve out proper family time on weekends and holidays because my phone is it's always ringing no matter what. Like we did a deal on Christmas. I recommend especially like earlier agents to join teams and join environments. Like when I first became an agent, I followed the money, so to speak, and I joined a brokerage that was affluent, and because I started from zero as well, so as we all do. And you want to follow these environments where there's success happening. But that being said, at the same time, once you build a success, you have to keep it. So it's, and you don't want to get the business is very, very shark-like because there's a lot of people who are after your own business and they're always looking for angles to cut you down. There's an expression that my old colleague used to say, like it's very lonely at the top, and it really is because as much as people wish you the best, at the same time they're trying to eat into your sales and environment. Decide on an area that you want to focus in. So a lot of realtors I have a couple of friends who've been in the business for a very long time now, but they have never focused on an area in Toronto. And what happens over time is you're sort of doing a deal here, doing a deal there. You can still do that, but at the same time, you should always be focused on an area that you want to build your brand in. Because if you don't, 20 years down the line, you really don't have a company that you're building. You just have, you're just a random person. So people, it's like when you're buying Kleenex or you go to an Esso station, it's brand recognition at the end of the day. Make smart choices.